All right, we're back here on Titans Talk. Titans a loser, 12-7 in Arizona yesterday. A frustrating game. A locker room that was very disappointed afterwards. It's their second loss in the last 8 weeks, but it knocks them out of a first-place tie with the Jaguars in the AFC South with just 3 games to go now. And another road trip coming up against the suddenly hot San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo steps in. He's won his first 2 starts as the Niners quarterback. So now you have to go contend with that as you look to bounce back on Sunday in Santa Clara, where new Levi's Stadium is. Jonathan Hutton out in Arizona for us for the game. Titans radio sideline reporter, our analyst here on News Channel 5. And here are his keys to the game from yesterday. The numbers as ugly as the game itself as we take a look at our Toyota game stats. Titans manages 204 total yards, only 65 of that on the ground while turning it over twice, spoiling what was a solid defensive effort. Here's Jonathan Hutton now in Glendale with our keys to the game.
Guys, the stage was set for Marcus Mariota and this Titans offense to take control of the second half of this game today in Arizona. That didn't happen. It was a horrendous second half for the quarterback. 2 second-half interceptions. First on a miscommunication to Rashard Matthews. Matthews is supposed to run across the face of the defensive back. That didn't happen. Interception number 1 for number 8. And with the chance to take control of this football game, interception number 2. A bad decision, throwing a pass across the middle. He did not see the linebacker dropping in coverage. 6 straight incompletions for Marcus Mariota to finish this game, and just 3 first downs in the second half for the Titans offense as a whole. That's the difference in the ball game. Another big key in this one, the run game for Arizona. Non-existent in the first half, just 32 yards rushing. That allowed the Titans defense to pin its ears back and get after Blaine Gabbert. But over 100 yards rushing in the second half, and that allowed Gabbert to take control of the football game. Wasn't pressured very much over the final 2 quarters. That played a big factor. The run game got going for an offense in Arizona that averages just 77 yards on the ground per game. They had a big day against this Titans defense. And finally, it's hard not to watch this team play and not notice the strides this defense is taking in the pass rush. They were close to the quarterback through the first half of the season. Now they're delivering and putting the quarterback on the ground. 8 more sacks today. It's a defense overall that's playing good enough football to win football games. The offense, though, not doing its part. Just 7 points. Titans aren't going to win very many football games doing that offensively.
Jonathan, thank you so much for that. Very poignant stuff there. The defense did its job yesterday. 8 sacks. You don't allow a touchdown in the game. That should be good enough to win against anybody. But those struggles offensively holding this team back right now. The question is this something they can overcome? Do they still have that gear that I kept expecting them to get to? When we watched some of these mistakes early on in the year, thinking, okay, they need to get healthy. They need to kind of pull it all together. You kept expecting come November or certainly December that they would click and hit that gear and take to the next level. But at least for now, we've seen nothing of that. So what will happen down the stretch? We will find out. Back to the phones we go. Let's say hello to Tim. Tim, good evening.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Thanks for the call.
Okay, a couple of changes. I know Dick LeBeau's 80 years old.
Yeah, what about him?
Well, I know Dick LeBeau's 80 years old. Maybe he could be head coach and maybe find a new offensive coordinator.
Well, when he was the head coach before in his tenure, that did not go very well. I mean, he's done that before, and it was a miserable experience, frankly. I think at this point, and as you mentioned, he's 80 years old, so I don't think there are a lot of teams knocking down his door for that job. I think he's perfectly happy running defenses right now and competing in that level. So that's not going to happen, and certainly no change to that regard is going to happen before the end of the year. Same thing with Terry Robiskie offensively. They may need to look at that at the end of the season, but that's not going to happen in the next 3 weeks. That's going to have to be some conversation that they have after the season where they believe somebody else could be better in that role. But right now, he's your offensive coordinator, and he's going to be the offensive coordinator for the last 3 weeks of the season. The question is, can they adjust and be better than what they were yesterday or for the last several weeks?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are believing what you believe, Tim, that they're maybe this just is who they are.
Well, I've seen them a lot better, and, just you got great players.
Well, they think they've got good players, and, Tim, we appreciate that. But, again, you talk about all the improvements at that wide receiver position. Where are the guys stepping up? The scheme probably should be better to get them some space and just get them open from time to time. I'll give you that, especially yesterday. But if these wide receivers are so good, where are they just getting themselves open? Where are they just making a play? Not a lot of guys on this offense are just making a play. We've seen some of the defensive guys, the sacks recently. I mean, they've got 18 sacks in the last 3 games. Kevin Byard had 6 sacks and 6 interceptions earlier in the season, 5 in 3 weeks. We've seen guys make plays on the defensive side of the ball. We've seen very few offensive players this year for the Titans just make a play. Just make a play when they need it and help this team win. Just haven't done it, by and large. So where are those stars on the offensive side? Where's that execution? Back to the phones and Ray. Ray, good evening.
Hello.
Hello. You're on the air.
Hey. What I'd like to say is Delaney Walker is as good as there is.
He is.
Hey, Delaney Walker, and like you said, in the offense and stuff, and the fact of it is they need to have other people that's as good as he is.
You'd certainly like that, but, I mean, he's a Pro Bowl tight end. There aren't a lot of players in the NFL that are that good. And, I mean, DeMarco Murray's been a Pro Bowl running back in the past. He led the AFC in rushing. You're right. There's some good players here. Marcus Mariota a year ago was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Right. So there is some talent there, but for whatever reason this year, whether it be injuries, whether it be play calling, whatever, it just hasn't come together this year.
That's right. They need to jail.
Yeah, there's no question. The question is why?
Why ain't it? Hey, they're making the money. They're on the line. Tell them to get to work.
Sure. No, I get it, Ray. We appreciate the call. I mean, that's the thing here. There's no question they're not gelling, and they haven't reached the level people expected. The big question is why and what you can do about it right now, here in December, 13 games in, that changes things for the final 3 games. All right, we got to take a break. Come back. More phone calls after this. This is Titans Talk on News Channel 5+.